The story I wish to tell today on the Eglowitz Variety Show is a story that I tell for no specific purpose other than I feel like telling it. There are no epic twists and turns on the winding road of this epic story, and there's no graph that looks like a roller coaster of tension and emotions and defeat and success and victory and failure and hero's journey type of thing. There's none of that. There's no 3-act structure to this story. It is a story I'm telling, as I mentioned, I believe already, for the purpose of I simply feel like telling it. There is no grand moral purpose or philosophy behind the story. There is no epic plot twist in the story. There is no high stakes betrayal, or there is no infiltration or espionage. There's no action. It's really quite an ordinary story, and it's something, it contains events within it that have probably happened to you, maybe even in this specific order, maybe not, but I'm sure, many of the things that will happen in the story as I tell it, you'll probably think to yourself, oh, I have experienced that, or I have been to that location, or I've met that person, or I've had this kind of experience before. And even if you haven't had these specific kind of experiences, I do believe that it will remind you of days and experiences that you have had, even if not directly kind of running parallel to the ones that I'm going to be talking about today. And if you're thinking to yourself, man, this is classic Eglowitz Variety Show. He is going to hype up this story, or opposite actually, he is going to suck the wind out of all this story with all this preamble, and the bit of it and the joke of it is going to be that it's actually a really gripping story, and it's riveting, and it does have those twists and turns, and it's this great story that he's just kind of being silly and making it seem like it's not all that. That's not the case. If you stick around watching this video with the hope and the expectation that that's going to happen, and that this is all a joke, and I'm being silly, and I'm doing a bit right now and telling you how ordinary this story is to be, you're in, I'm sorry to say, for a rude awakening. Because it truly is, and I mean this, it is just a story. And it is a story that I'm telling simply because I feel like sitting down and recording myself telling this story. And I don't even mean that in a way where I'm saying that in a wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of way, but there's actually some kind of thematic, philosophical underpinning or underlining or nuance or subtext to the story, because truly it is nothing like that. There is no political message to it. There is no philosophical message to it. There is no meaning of the universe message to it. It is, I cannot stress this enough, a story for the sake of telling a story. And there are no other motives or anything like that for me telling it. And I know I'm smiling and laughing a bit, but don't let that make you think that I'm doing it because I'm lying. Sometimes you start smiling and laughing and people think you're lying. That is not the case here. I'm just a happy guy. I'm in a good mood. I want to tell this story, and I'm sitting down and I'm doing it. And I'm excited about that. So that's why I'm smiling and laughing. It's for no other reasons. I got my cat beside me, as he often seems to be while I make videos. I got a Monster Energy that I'm going to crack open and drink while I take a second to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Monster Energy. Are you a person that likes drinks that taste sweet, and some of the flavors have too much sugar in them, but if you know which flavors to get that have less sugar, you feel less bad about drinking it, even though you don't know what any of the other ingredients are, but the drink tastes good, and maybe it gives you a little bit of a jolt, and maybe sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes it does, and maybe you're just making it up in your head. You would love Monster Energy. Cheers. This video is sponsored by Monster Energy, and if you want me to sponsor your product like I sponsored Monster Energy, just get in touch with me and we'll figure out a way to make it happen. And also in this video, we have cameos from some of the subjects of the last video. This is the mystery Christmas Ornament Undertaker, and this is Mystery Christmas Ornament Roman Reigns. And if you're curious about the lore behind those guys, you could go check out the last video on the channel. I'm thinking I need a coaster here because there's no place for me to set this drink really except on the shelf, and I'd like to put a coaster there. So if you'll excuse me a second, I'm just going to hop off camera just for a moment, and I'm going to come back on camera with the coaster, and then put the coaster where I would like to put the drink, and then put the drink on the coaster. I think right there will be good. I'll frame it so the logo is facing the screen so you could see it. So my sponsor gets the most out of their investment in me. I want to deliver a good ROI to Monster for sponsoring this video because I care about my sponsors, and I will go out of my way to make your product look good. So this story that I wanted to tell, I will begin telling it now. I have this stack of books in a particular corner of my quarters. And some of these books are larger books. Some of these books are smaller books. And I mean that both in terms of like the page count and the thickness of the book itself, but also kind of the size of the book, because books have different sizes. I have a perfect set behind me for which to demonstrate this. Alright, what's up guys? This is Eglowitz Variety Show coming to you from the editing bay, and as I sit editing this video, I'm realizing this story is really just not worth listening to at all. It's not good, it's just a boring story. So what I'm going to do, instead of making you listen to the story, is I'm going to invite you down a train of thought with me. Invite you onto the train, and the train will go down the thought. I don't know. I had a thought about chewing gum the other day. And the thought was, I am very surprised at the viability of chewing gum as a product that has remained on shelves, and I assume sold so well enough for it to keep being on shelves for so long. Allow me to tell you, I guess, another story that explains how I kind of came to this conclusion. I was at the corner store the other day, and I picked up a pack of gum. I don't usually chew gum. I'm not a fan of it. Not typically, at least. And I don't know what came over me, but I saw a pack of gum on the shelf, and I said, you know what? I'm going to get this pack of gum, and I'm going to be that guy that chews gum. And I'm going to be that guy that, you know, say you're at a party or a social setting, or even at work, whatever it is, that guy that just whips out a pack of gum and offers everyone a stick of gum. Everybody likes that guy. And so I thought, okay, why not? I'll pick up this pack of gum. And as I exited the store, I took a piece of the gum out of the pack. Well, first, before even that, I unwrapped the pack of gum from its plastic packaging, the plastic wrap that goes around it. And then I opened up the pack of gum, and I took out a stick, took the wrapper off the stick, and then put the stick in my mouth to eat it. And at first, it was kind of nice. For the first bit of it, it was, okay, this is a cool, minty taste in my mouth. And it wasn't so bad, but after about 35 to 40 seconds, and I kid you not, it was that short of a time frame that I'm talking about here, the gum lost all flavor completely. And it went from being this cool, minty taste in my mouth and this cool little thing giving me this minty taste to just this weird little, strangely textured, awkward consistency thing in my mouth that I just had to chew on or keep it somewhere, you know, as in tucked behind my teeth or something. And I realized this is uncomfortable, dare I say. This is borderline, I don't like this. It feels like an intruder in my mouth. It's not doing anything. It's not adding anything to the flavor profile inside my mouth or having a mouth experience. It's not adding anything to it. If anything, it's detracting from it. And so I decided I have to spit this piece of gum out as soon as possible. And as soon as I saw a trash can, I did. And I thought to myself, well, man, now I have this whole rest of this pack of chewing gum that I don't even like in my pocket, and I'm going to have to figure out what to do with it. And it got me thinking, wow, I had a terrible experience chewing this piece of gum. I did not like it. It did not appeal to me. Yet, you see gum everywhere you go. Anywhere really that things are sold, if you think about it, you see gum. There's the obvious ones. You know, you go to the gas station, they have gum. You go to, like I went to, a corner store, they have gum. You know, even sometimes 99-cent stores and general stores and whatnot, they have gum. Gum is really sold everywhere. It's among a tier of products that are universal. You know, you could go to Home Depot and get a pack of gum. And I think of things like, say, a bottle of Coke or a bag of chips. I think of gum in a similar tier to items like those, where they're pretty much guaranteed to be wherever you go. Wherever you walk in, if you want to buy a bottle of soda, chances are they're going to have a bottle of soda that you could buy. And I think after having had this experience, it's making me realize that I fail to see chewing gum as deserving of being in the same tier as those other things. I understand the appeal with a can of soda. You know, I try not to drink soda. I drink it rarely. I like to have a soda when I go to the movie theater, you know, and see a movie. I love to have a soda. Sometimes at a diner, I like to have a soda. But in general, I try not to consume too much soda. But I understand the appeal is what I'm getting at. You know, Coke is a classic brand, Coca-Cola. You know, it's a staple. When you think of soda, you think of Coca-Cola. And sometimes you just want a Coke. I get it. It's a popular product. It tastes good. I like having a soda here and there. I get it. A bag of chips. I get, let's say, a bag of Doritos. Or a bag of Lay's, just potato chips, whatever. I get. Chips are good. They're a good snack. They're not terribly high in sugar, which is great, and I'm sure they're high in other things that are not so good for you, but it's a snack. It's a quick snack. It's not so filling as to, you know, where it's going to spoil your dinner if you have one after lunch or anything. And there's a variety of flavors as well, and I guess the same could be said for sodas. There's a variety of soda flavors. So things like that, I get. I see the appeal of chips, of a soda. And I understand why those products are for sale everywhere. Because you'll never know when you want a Coke. You could be in TJ Maxx and be in line to check out. And you could open up the fridge and get a Coke there. And I understand it. These are things that people like. And for reasons that I don't struggle to understand. But when it comes to chewing gum, I think, well, who's buying all this gum? So much so that it's one of these staple products that you could really find anywhere you'd like to find it. And I'm having my cat now, he's crawling in between me and my iPad, so if there's any audio changes going on, it's going to be because there's a blockage. He's moved now and he's getting into the kitchen sink for some reason. I think he'll be fine. I don't understand who's buying all this gum, is what I mean to say. And what I'm wondering about since then is, what are some circumstances, what are some reasons people might use gum or have gum on them, chewing gum? And is there like a chewing gum fan base? Is there a community of people that like gum just because they like gum? They like chewing gum. And I'm going to get a little more into detail on both of these trains of thought that I'm having. Within this larger train of thought, I have sub-trains of thought. We're going to go on some transfers before we get back on the main route here. Having a sip of water there, excuse me. So, firstly, practical applications for chewing gum. Some of the things that came to mind were, you know, maybe you have a hot date coming up tonight and you want your breath to smell its best. Hopefully you brushed this morning before you went out of the house. That would be step number 1. But, you know, sometimes it happens. It's around 6, 7 o'clock. Maybe you just got out of work and you had a long day, and maybe you had a particularly pungent lunch, and maybe your mouth is not tasting or smelling its best. But, you know, you don't want to drive all the way home and brush your teeth before you go out on this date. Maybe you went to bring your toothbrush to the office so you could brush them after you clocked out, but maybe you forgot, and maybe you have some gum on you, and so before you go meet this person, you could pop some gum into your mouth. That's practical use A that I could think of, is a refresh, kind of a midday sprucing up of the breath. Similar to that, but what I would categorize as a different letter, as B, is say there is a certain specific reason that your mouth is tasting really nasty. Say maybe you have a stomach bug and you're having a hard time keeping your food down. Hey, after you vomit, unfortunately, your mouth can taste not so good. And maybe maybe a stomach bug isn't a great example, because presumably if you have a stomach bug, you're at home and you just pop, toothbrush in your mouth or some mouthwash and get rid of it. But say you're out and about. Say you are at say you're out at a bar with your friends and maybe you had too much to drink. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of common situations where someone would throw up. Say you're at McDonald's with your bros and you had a bad chicken nugget and you threw up, whatever the case may be. And you don't want to go the whole rest of your time out with your mouth tasting like that. So, pop a piece of gum in your mouth. It makes sense. I understand that. However, with both A and B, both of those circumstances in which I just described, I think there are other things you can use besides chewing gum to achieve that goal, whether it's freshening up your breath or making your breath or mouth not taste bad after throwing up, or maybe taking some medicine if you want to use that. Why not use, say, a peppermint or a sucking candy or something like that? I think that achieves the same effect that you would with chewing a piece of mint gum, except it's not a very short experience like it is chewing gum, and you get to kind of swirl it around in your mouth a little bit and kind of suck on the candy for a couple minutes until it dissolves away, versus the less than a minute time frame that you usually get to have with a piece of chewing gum. The other thing I could think of is, say maybe you have an oral fixation. I guess this would be option C, or practical use C for chewing gum. Say you have an oral fixation and you're someone that likes having things to do with their mouth. I know a lot of cigarette smokers kind of have that. One of the things that keeps them coming back to cigarettes is having something to do with their mouth and lips, or what other thing? I'm struggling. Biting their nails. People that bite their nails. Sometimes you just have an oral fixation and you just need to be doing things with your mouth. And maybe chewing gum, if you're a person like that, can be a healthy, or I don't know if gum is healthy per se, but a healthier way to satisfy that oral fixation than smoking cigarettes or biting your nails, etc., etc. So I guess there's that as well. But I just fail to see, even then, the appeal of having this weird tasteless thing to chew on in your mouth. And I can't think of any alternatives. I'm not sure if I could say, well, if you have an oral fixation and chewing gum satisfies it, don't do that. Do this instead. I don't have that to present to you. I don't know. So I guess maybe that one has some legs. Option A and B, practical use A and B, I think I kind of negated with this, hey, just have a mint, just have a peppermint. But option C, the oral fixation, hey, if gum does it for you, gum does it for you. I understand. And I could have sworn I had another thought or two in mind for practical uses of chewing gum, but I can't remember what they were. I'm sure there are others. I'm sure that there is a variety of practical reasons that people would use gum. But then I also get to thinking, and this is part 2, I guess, of the grand thought that I'm getting at here. I wonder if there is a dedicated chewing gum kind of fan base. Is there a community of gum chewers? Is there a subreddit, r/chewing gum? What do they talk about in there, if so? Are there gum forums? Do they post links to new flavors that are being announced? Or do they post, Trident stock is up, 5 is down? Do they do year-end lists? Say like a film critic, for example, might do the top 10 movies of 2024. Top 10 worst movies, conversely, of 2024. Do they have those kinds of discussions about chewing gum in the chewing gum communities, if they do exist? It's not something I ever really thought about. I don't know if I've ever met fans of chewing gum. Fans of chewing gum. You know, I've known people that will swear by soda, and they love soda. And obviously, you know, they are aware that soda isn't the best health-wise beverage to be drinking. But, you know, I'm a real Pepsi fan. I love me a Pepsi, I hear people say. Or, wow, or you hear people even fighting, say, over which Dorito flavor is better. I'm a Cool Ranch guy. I'm a spicy nacho guy. And I know they're not directly comparable because they're different products and, you know, have different uses. One is a beverage and one is a snack. But the reason I keep comparing gum to soda and chips is because, like I mentioned earlier, I think of those as something of staple pillar products. No matter where you go, they have these kinds of things, you know? They are enduring, and they are almost omnipresent, it feels like. And it's very curious to me, because I wonder if there must be some kind of quiet, unobnoxious, chewing gum fan base like that, because without one, I don't know that I see gum being able to sustain itself financially and economically, and gum companies being able to sustain themselves through sales alone of convenience and sales alone of practicality, as in, you know, I don't know, say it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I need a pack of gum real quick, so I go get a pack of gum because my breath is smelling bad. I can't think that there can be that many instances of that happening, so much so for there to be so much gum everywhere, because it sells so well. Hello. Steve has returned here. I'm not sure if you could hear him. Hello there. So there must be, I think, some kind of gum fan base that props up the sales enough so for there to be gum everywhere justifiably. Or maybe I'm totally off base, and maybe there isn't so much of a chewing gum fan base like that, and maybe there's a lot more instances of people just needing gum right now than I realize. You know, maybe there's a lot more instances of, oh, it's 6 o'clock and I'm going to meet this guy or this girl on this date and I want my breath to smell good, so let me get a gum real quick. Or, oh man, I don't know. It doesn't seem likely to me, and it's something that I'm going to be thinking about and have curiosities about going forward. And maybe now that it's something I'm thinking of, I'll have a sharper eye out for things relating to these trains of thoughts that I'm sharing, and I could form a more informed opinion as I keep an eye out for these things. I'm not too big of a fan of chewing gum, and I don't think I will become one or anything. I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of this pack of gum that I bought at the store. But I think I have to do the YouTuber thing now, where I say, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I will catch you in the next video. I think this particular recording is going to end now. Leave your thoughts on chewing gum in the comments. What's your favorite kind of gum, and if you chew gum, what do you use it for? And hopefully in the video now, I'm doing the outro. In the visual portion, hopefully I'm talking about the outro now, so I'll just transition. I'll cut this recording, jump to the video, and hopefully I'll be doing the outro. So, hey, all right. Thanks for listening. What was your favorite phone charger, if you've made it this far in the video? I think that's it. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day. Thank you for being here.
I got a handle on that man in the mirror. Yeah, I think I got a handle on that fucked up dude. Now I set aside the rage, cause that shit didn't serve me. Came yay close to letting that shit burn me. Gamma ray green, but I don't let it turn me. I feel what I feel, but I don't let it swerve me. I am on the path of a master. I break it down quick.